you want, as we always do right here. And our resident guy for all that. Kutoka St. John Ambulance. He is a first aid trainer at St. John Ambulance. Karibu sana Wanjohi. Andrew, fresh?
Niko fresh kabisa.
I hope the weather has been fantastic this past weekend.
It has improved.
It has improved.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I think the last time we were talking about all this, probably people used, the kind of lessons that you're giving us.
Yes.
And today is a whole other opportunity for people to also call in live and throw in all those questions that you have. 0795 0458 64. Today we're discussing matters electrocution, strains as well as sprains, and he'll be telling us all that, what it really means, what parts of the body are really affected when it comes to when you're probably electrocuted, when you probably have a sprain or you have a strain, and how to do a first aid. You probably don't have any idea on how to do a first aid, but he'll be giving you some basics on that. So usiogope kutupigia simu and ask Wanjohi all those questions that you have. So first off, we can really start with electrocution.
Yes.
What is the kind of risk factors that will make someone be electrocuted?
Okay, when it comes to electrocution, major risk factors, especially in the household, are exposed wires and maybe faulty equipment the electrical equipment that could cause such injuries and such. And of course, also for children, not keeping them safe and just exposing them to such items. And then one thing that guys usually have is also not following manufacturers' instructions on handling certain equipment. And I'm sure hata wewe ukinunua kitu, you don't read the instruction manual.
I do, but not all of it.
Not all of
the
it.
first bit and then the last bit.
Yes, and so those are some of the things that could cause someone to get electrocuted, especially for such things that require electricity and use electric current. Yes. So
mostly even in the domestic household, the electric gadgets that are really within us.
Yes.
So to speak.
Yes, and there are at the workplace, especially kwanza industries that use high voltage electricity. Those are major things that could cause such problems and such injuries. So again, safety is paramount when we are dealing with electrical equipment, any electrical equipment.
And Wanjohi, one of the biggest questions that people will always have is how much voltage is really dangerous? Because kuna ile kwa nyumba, you probably have a naked wire, and you probably just touched it, and then it sends some currents through your hands, and that was just it. You're probably subtly electrocuted,
yes.
But it didn't really have a damage to your body.
Okay.
It was just a slight shock to your hand,
yes.
And you repelled, and that was it. Then how much high should a voltage be that it can really have and cause danger to your body?
Now, when electrical injuries are classified as burns, an electrical injury is just a type of burn.
Okay.
We have various types of burns: radiation, electrical, dry burns, chemical burns, and cold injuries, and then scalds. So an electrical burn or an electrical injury is high up there with the ones that have the highest risk factors, because when it comes to electrical injuries, there's the danger of the electricity causing your heart to stop. It can make your heart stop beating.
What amount of time does it take if you probably touched a naked wire and the voltage was high? How much is it in a matter of seconds, microseconds?
Yeah, it's almost immediate, depending again on the voltage and such. Of course, high voltage electricity, immediately you come into contact with it, it is dangerous. It can cause you to go into cardiac arrest immediately. Low voltage electricity, again, has similar dangers. It's just that maybe it will take a longer amount of time because of the amount of voltage that is flowing. So in terms of what we classify as low voltage is domestic and workplace. Ile yenye unatumianga kwa socket and such. Ile 240 up to 240 volts.
Yeah.
240 to 400. 400 to 1000 is high voltage. That's now industrial. Then above 1,000 now, those are power lines. Power lines, and then of course high voltage generators and such things.
All right.
So all electrical injuries can cause the heart to stop beating. That is the first and most immediate danger, and that is what we should take care of. And then of course now comes the burns that cause and other injuries that are associated now to the electricity. Now, for example, later on we're going to be talking about sprains and strains and such.
Yeah.
And of course, fractures, broken bones and such.
All right.
Yes.
For someone to really better understand this, I'd love to call my our model for the day, so that we can really understand if someone is actually electrocuted, what parts of the body, I mean, as much as the heart would really, there is a danger of the heart stopping. But you're talking about the burn, so which parts of the body?
Yeah.
I'd like to call Mary over and help us, understand, or rather, actually Joy, to help us understand this.
Joy.
Yes, hi Joy. Yes, so she is going to help us, understand all this. So yes, if probably aliguza mahali, let's say I am there's a naked wire here, so akaguza mahali hapa.
So akiguza,
yes.
If that is the naked wire na ameguza, the first point of contact ni hapo mahali anaguza. That is where now she will get electrocuted.
So they're going to be burns around?
Yeah, there's going to be burns at the point of contact. How you recognize a burn, an electrical burn, there's going to be some charring. Inakuwa nyeusi. Inakuwa nyeusi, depending again on the length of time that she has been in contact with that particular area. Sasa. Alafu, when it comes to electricity, just like a bullet, there is a point of entry and a point of exit.
Okay.
And again, not all the time.
Yeah.
But there could be a point of entry and a point of exit. So when you are managing that kind of burn, at the point of entry, yes, you will manage it. But it's also a good idea to assess fully where, if there is a point of exit, so that you can also manage that particular area.
So this is during the whole electrocution as it is happening at the moment?
Now, because so during the electrocution beat, the moment that she is in contact with that point of with the electric current and such, the first point is to ensure that you are safe as the person who is rescuing her.
Okay.
Kitu ya kwanza, endo kazime stima. First, make sure that the power is turned off. Don't come into contact with a person who is in contact with a point of electricity, because pia wewe, you will be part of the electric current. You will be electrocuted also.
If you have the power off and the electricity off, really, will it be immediate?
Yes, the moment that you're sure that the power has been turned off, and usually if it is at the household, make sure you go to the main switch. Wacha izimwe tu yote. Mostly watu wanatuambiaga sasa mimi kama siko karibu caretaker ndio anajua mahali main switch iko. So just make sure that you're able to switch it off somewhere.
Yeah.
Just first you switch it off, and the moment you switch it off and the power is off kabisa, electricity inaacha kurun. So you can now handle, and you can handle her.
So what if you can't really find the electric bit to actually have it off?
Yes.
What do you do at this moment?
The other thing you can use is a dry piece of wood. A dry piece of wood in terms of trying to break contact with the point of electrocution. So find a dry piece of something that does not conduct electricity. So tafute metal ama nini. So get a dry piece of wood. Wenzetu hapa ananipatia. Yes.
Kama hii.
Kama hii.
The intensity, because I mean she had alikuwa ameguza switch hapa. Na switch iko na connected wire kaguza hapo. So at what intensity do you hit that hand?
Utaniallow nikugonge. So usually, because there is when someone has been electrocuted, there is what we call muscular spasm. Muscular spasm is where the muscles now contract involuntarily. So zinakuwa rigid. So you need to use a bit of strength. So utagonga tu.
I hope I just got you.
Sawa, utajaribu tu kugonga because the point is utagonga so that you stop the current from flowing.
Okay.
And your immediate concern is not the injury that you might cause there, it is the heart that might stop pumping blood.
Injury itakuja kufanya first aid.
Injury broken bones, they will heal. But if the heart stops pumping blood, now we have major danger.
How much time do you have before the heart stops pumping blood?
It's immediate. If the electricity is flowing, it is immediate because what happens is that the way the heart generates a heartbeat and such, there's an electrical function to it. So the electricity is interfering with the electrical functioning of the heart. And that's what you're...
Stima enzi inapatana stima enda.
Na zinakosana. So,
in layman's term.
Yes, so zinakosana. So that is what you're trying to prevent.
Okay.
Because if it interferes with the electrical activity of the heart, that becomes dangerous. And that is why, even previously I think we've talked with you about CPR and the use of a defibrillator and such. Unaona kama defibrillator, it uses electrical shock. And what it does, it stops the heart. Generally, it just stops the heart so that the heart now can pick up normal rhythm. So unaona sasa this unaccounted for electrical current is now becoming a problem in terms of it is acting as a defibrillator for someone who doesn't need it. Unaona kama ile defibrillator unashikanisha and you make sure that no one is in contact with the person, so that someone doesn't get electrocuted, because if your heart is functioning properly, you don't that electrical current will interfere with the normal functioning of the heart, and that's what you're trying to break contact with.
All right. So now we've broken the contact. So Joy is here. She's probably... So what, if someone is after the electrocution bit,
yes,
what's their state of the body at the moment?
The first thing is that the muscles go into spasm if someone is being electrocuted. So unaonanga mtu macho zina they roll in their sockets and the arms or whatever muscles become rigid.
Is it always true ama ni cartoon inatudanganya?
Hiyo ni cartoon sana. That one is over exaggerated. Okay. But at some level kutakuwa na hiyo effect. Again, hizo tu ni effects za electric current flowing through your body.
Right.
Mwili yako ndo ina act kama earthing. Ndo ina act kama earth, ndo ina earth the electricity. So that's why kuna hiyo effect.
So for example, Joy is here, she was you're electrocuted.
Yes.
And then we blocked that the flow of electricity.
Yes.
So at this point, will she, because you're telling us the muscles are stiff and all that, will she be able to stand?
No. She will drop immediately.
Okay.
She will drop immediately because the muscles won't be able to hold on or support her body. So akidrop, wewe utafanya tu, you will manage her on the ground the way she is dropped. But if it's a minor electrical injury, ataifeel tu vile unasema, utaifeel tu alafu utaacha. So for that, you just manage now the burn.
Okay. So do we start with the burn before we have a hypothetical of she actually had a major...
Yeah, we can start with the burn. So if, for example, the electrical injury was here, and there's a burn here, first of all, you confirm whether she is conscious or unconscious. So kama sahi huyu si yako conscious, ananiongelesha na by virtue of that, her airway is clear, her breathing is present. Now, the circulation is what has been impaired in terms of the burn itself.
Okay.
Anything else now, those are the primary factors: airway, breathing, and circulation, ABC. Those are the things that you first look at. And then you come now handle the burn. You handle an electrical burn just like any other burn. The idea is to cool the burn. So you're going to try and cool it under running water for 20 minutes. You cool it under running water for 20 minutes, and then you want to cover it. If it's a serious burn, you want to cover it so that it doesn't get infected. So cover it, get your dressing. Kuna kuagana squeezy, kuna kuagana what we call burn dressings kwa first aid kit. Okay. So they are specially made for burns.
Okay.
So if you have a burn dressing, get a burn dressing. Itakuwa na pad kama hii yenye, it is non-stick. It doesn't stick on the injury.
Okay.
Cover it so that it doesn't get infected. Shikilia hapa. And then you just roll it around like that.
So even as you continue wrapping it around, there's a question because you've mentioned water here.
Yes.
There's someone who asks, hi Amiframe, hi TV47 Amiframe, could you use water to stop the flow of currency?
You shouldn't use water. First of all, for electrical injuries, if you're trying to make sure that the current stops flowing, don't use water. Even fire safety experts, even when we are training guys in fire safety, you have fire extinguishers, 4 types of fire extinguishers. You have water, you have carbon dioxide, you have foam, and you have dry powder. And one of the precautions that you're told, whenever you're using the water fire extinguisher, never use it for electrical burns or electrical fires.
Okay.
Because the water will cause the fire to be worse. Because unajua pia maji ina conduct electricity.
Yeah, true.
So with that is why you're told don't use water to put off electrical fires.
Electrical fire.
Yes.
Right, so back to Joy.
So we've covered our burn. We also want to keep it elevated. If it is kwa mkono, you want to keep it elevated so that you can reduce the swelling. Because a burn has a lot of swelling, inakuwaga na swelling. So we want to keep it elevated, so nitamfunga sling. Nikelea tu mkono hapa, shikilia hapa. Alafu nikuje nichukue my triangular bandage. My triangular bandage, I'm going to tie what we call an elevation sling. So elevation sling hapa tu haraka haraka. Nikishaiwekelea hivyo, nakuja toa hii mkono. Shikilia tena. Nakuja naifungia hapa kwa bega. Nikifunga tu hapo haraka haraka. Make sure it's nice and firm. Alafu hapa, if you have safety pins, you can hold on to that, ama you just twist it. Usually, kama uko kwa nyumba, maybe hauna first aid kit.
Yeah.
Si ndio? You can get kitamba.
Kama
leso, just make it in that triangular motion, in that triangular shape, na utafunga sling yako tu vizuri sana.
So what if Joy was alone in the house and she had the burns?
Yes.
But then there was no one around her, so there wasn't a quick response. And she was probably unconscious. I mean, you've told us the muscles get stiff, so she can't really even reach to a phone to even call help.
Yes.
What's the danger of these burns, being there for a long period of time without having the proper attention?
She's unconscious. When she's alone and she's unconscious.
Okay, let's go with that hypothetical, first.
Yeah. The problem with a burn, again, a burn is a burn in terms of it can easily get infected. Hata ukienda kwa burn units in various hospitals, they don't just let people in anyhow. It's limited to the number of people who can get in because of exposure to bacteria that can bring infection and such things. So without maybe covering the affected area, the risk of infection grows with every minute that it is exposed without getting treatment and such. Again, even when she gets treatment and there is a burn there, even with this dressing, it needs to be changed on a regular basis. Saizi kana dressing ati wiki mzima. This needs to be changed on a regular basis so that the injury doesn't get infected pia. So the risk of a burn and electrical injury, beyond now the electricity itself, once you've treated it, or before it even gets treated, is the risk of infection to the burn itself.
Right. So what if you came and now, because we started with, it was just a burn, it was a slight electrocution, then now to a hypothetical of she was alone and she got electrocuted. Probably some minutes later, the electricity flow maybe stopped, but then meanwhile, she got unconscious.
She was alone.
Yes.
You know, if she's unconscious and she's alone, there's really not much you can do about that. But if you find her...
So now, as first aid, you come later.
Yeah, as a person who's responding to that scenario, if I find her unconscious, I will go through a primary survey. A primary survey has 5 steps.
Okay.
Check for danger. The danger here being the electricity. Yeah. Make sure that it is turned off. Again, if you assess, this is an electrical injury. And because out of your assessment, maybe there are electrical appliances, naked wires, the electricity is a danger. First, make sure that the power is turned off. So that's the first point. Check for danger. Once you deal with the danger, check now whether she's responding.
Right.
Muite Joy, can you hear me? If she doesn't respond, you know that she's unresponsive.
Okay.
So open the airway. We open the airway and check whether she's breathing. If she's not breathing, we do CPR.
Okay.
Chest compressions tumekuwa tukifanya tu. Do chest compressions and of course call for help.
Right.
But if she's breathing and she has a burn, you can see the burn, manage the burn and then place her in the recovery position.
Right.
Yes, I don't know, I should place her in the recovery position.
So even as you do that,
yes.
We've had this quite a number of times. You'd find, because you're telling us, find and manage the situation. So have the power, have the electricity off.
Yes.
But then, for example, it's lightning. It was raining heavily and then there's lightning. You can't really turn off lightning.
You can't.
It's only maneno za Mungu. So what happens in this situation? Because we've had quite a number of stories on the media outlets that probably someone was, on the hang lines, on the cloth hang lines, and it's aluminium, line,
yes.
And they got electrocuted.
Yes.
Or just somewhere, probably at a tree. Tell us all about that. For lightning, are there different dynamics to this?
For lightning, first of all, it's because now lightning is categorized now as high voltage electricity. The dynamics of lightning is that since you can't really turn it off. You can't turn it off. So already ishagonga and hiyo mambo imeisha.
That's it, yeah.
Is there a danger of what you need to look out for is there a danger of another lightning strike in the same area? And for that's really about guesswork. If you're not a meteorologist, you too need to guess una guess. If it is there's a possibility of lightning hitting the same place again, take care of yourself first.
Because I remember when I was young, when it's raining, don't wear a red t-shirt. You can also, because I'm pretty sure there's so many people out here who walk around with those kind of, are they misconceptions?
Yes.
So, but then now for real, as facts, what should you not really do when it comes to, let's say, lightning?
Mostly from whatever it is that when it comes to lightning specifically, it's probably going to strike some high places, high places, high ground and such, and utaona even buildings that zinaenda to a very high
10-story plus 12
wakona what we call lightning arresters, because for them the possibility of the building being struck by lightning is high. So that is why they want to curb that and ensure that safety of the people in the building using lightning arresters. So kuna hiyo risk factor ni uko wapi, altitude yako, where are you in terms of
ukijificha chini ya mti.
Kujificha pia chini ya mti is something that you're discouraged from doing, because hiyo mti pia inaweza gongwa na stima virahisi because it's much higher than you.
So now for the dynamics of the first aid, because you're probably in the house and you saw, a loved one has been electrocuted by lightning.
Yes.
Is it because this is very high voltage?
Yes.
So is the first aid procedure that you've walked us through, is it the same for lightning?
It is. It is the same. What we say is that it's an incident. An incident has vile tumesema kwa primary assessment for managing a casualty, you do the 5 steps, Dr. ABC, danger response, airway breathing and circulation. Now, in general, when managing an incident, there's also a procedure that we follow. We use the acronym AMEGA. Assess the situation, make the area safe, give emergency first aid to life-threatening injuries, get help, and now deal with the aftermath.
Right.
So when you assess the situation, that is where you're going to tell whether there is any danger, there is any threat to you in terms of your safety and to the casualty. Once you assess the situation and decide and you see that it's not safe, it is not dangerous, that's when now you decide to act.
Okay.
So, however you can make the area safe, what we say is that try and get the casualty, during lightning, try and get the casualty out of the open air, get them somewhere indoors. Get them indoors, that's how you can make the area safe.
Right.
Get the casualty indoors, and then now give emergency treatment, give emergency first aid. Follow the procedure, and then of course call for help.
Right.
Call an ambulance and such.
Fantastic. Now the fact that we've largely talked about electrocution,
yes,
we should really also talk about strains as well as sprains.
Yes, yes.
And because I know you really wanted now to have Joy into the whole EO position, recovery position.
Yes.
Now we can tackle this into the whole strains.
Yes.
Tell us about the kind of body parts that how does strains happen as well as sprains. Even for both of them. And the first aid procedure.
So, in sprains and strains, the technical definition of a sprain is that it is the tearing or overstretching of a ligament. So, what that means is that a ligament is found usually at a joint. A ligament is that piece of tissue, kama unakumbuka biology yako tu vipoa, is that piece of tissue that joins a bone to another bone. That is a ligament.
So for example, kama kwa wrist yangu hapa.
So kuna bones zina meet hapo. They are attached together by a ligament. And then that is for a sprain. A strain now is, the technical definition is the tearing or overstretching of a tendon. A tendon is that piece of tissue that joins a muscle to a bone. Yes. Again, those are found at a joint. So the risk factor here for wacha tutumie casualty wetu, the risk areas zinakuwaga joints. So ni wrists, elbows, ankles, knees. Hapo ndio utapata sprains and strains.
On the neck?
For neck,
spinal.
Upper kwa spine, now that's different. You can't call it a sprain because if the spinal cord is injured, that becomes now something more dangerous. That is something more dangerous because hiyo sasa inaweza affect spinal cord na hiyo sasa ni spinal injury.
Actually, I think, and not even the whole spinal cord, where the neck bone is, the neck bone connecting to, I think the neck bone also connects to
collarbone.
Yes, the collarbone, as well as just holding onto the tissue, rather the shoulder muscles. How about that?
Yes. Can it overstretch? Yes. So someone can always experience a sprain or a strain. As long as where it is affecting them, there is a ligament, there is a tendon, it can overstretch, it can tear. That is a sprain or a strain. So basically at joints, those are the areas where sprains and strains occur. Yes.
Right.
So how do we recognize a sprain or a strain? Pain, first of all. There's a lot of pain in the injured area.
And even now, before we get to that, the whole pain, what do people normally do that can actually lead to all that? Because telling us, let's say the hand, for the knees, for the ankles, you probably tripped, and then there's the pain on the ankle joint. What are some of those common things that happen that can actually lead?
The causes.
The causes.
The causes of sprains and strains. Of course, falls. Kama akianguka hapa hivi, they can easily trip and injure their ankle, causing a sprain or a strain, or even their knee, even their wrist, depending on how they landed. Blows to those areas. Again, also, if it twists in an abnormal way, and the force through which that is exerted against that area, those are some of the dangers. So mostly it's just falls and blows, and Again, mostly people, those are now sports injuries, mostly. Football, rugby, basketball, those are sports that...
High intensity kind
yes.
of...
Those are the sports, boxing.
Yeah.
Those are the sports that, or those are the kinds of injuries you expect in such sports.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So you started telling us that how you recognize the pain.
Yes. The first thing is pain. Of course, the casualty will be in a lot of pain. And then there's going to be swelling.
So now for our example here, let's say for example Joy alikuwa na box mtu.
Yes. Alikuwa na fight mtu.
Joint the right wrist ikapata sprain or strain.
Akapata sprain or a strain. Again, hiyo differentiation haifai kukuwa ati inaku-concern sana, because the management is just the same and the what's it called? The recognition features are the same.
The same, okay.
So there's going to be a lot of pain and there's going to be swelling. There's going to be swelling and tenderness on that particular area. And she's going to have the inability to move that area. So kama inasonga, saya kiisongesha, it is very painful, so she won't be able to move it. So those are the three main areas: pain, swelling, and the inability to use that particular area.
Ile commonly people say nimevunjika mkono.
Sasa unaona kama ni kuvunjika, which is a fracture, someone has to go for an X-ray to confirm that.
But will the features be similar, the whole swelling and all that?
Yes, they are similar. For broken bones, that is why I usually told, if the pain is excessive, it is usually a good idea to go get an X-ray to confirm there are no broken bones. Ukipata yu chungu imekuwa mingi sana, it is a lot, then just go get an X-ray so that they can confirm there are no broken bones.
It reminds me back in my rugby days, unapata ka sprain kadogo, kuna swelling, then unaandikiwa barua.
Sick leave.
Unasema yes, nimevunjika mkono. Good times those ones. Yes. So anyway, back to the whole. So apart from the swelling, apart from the pain, what else?
Those are the main features that you're going to look for. Kuna kitu ingine ati maybe unaweza tafuta. Ukishapata tu your pain, swelling and the inability to move that area, you just handle it. Start managing that casualty. So kawaida sijui even in your days ulikuwa una handle aje hiyo?
Hey, some rugby days, deep hit, just having a whole, probably I think wrapping it for some, and then also stretching. Mtu anakushika hapo, unamwambia shika hapo, you probably try and stretch that muscle, so that it can actually align back to its normal self. Is that, were you doing it correctly?
Part of it is okay. Part of what you are doing is what we do. So what I want us to remember when we're managing a sprain or a strain is the acronym RICE. Yani mchele.
R-I-C-E.
R-I-C-E. Rest the affected area. Ice the affected area. Compress the affected area. And elevate the affected area. So that's what the RICE stands for. Rest, ice, compress, elevate.
Elevate.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what you do. Be it kwa ankle, be it kwa wrist, be it kwa knee, RICE.
Right.
So kama ni kwa hii mkono yake, what I'm going to tell her before I get any equipment, namwambia hebu shikilia tu mkono yako, shikilia tu hivyo, and then I go get an ice pack. Let's assume that this is going to be my ice pack. Right. If I don't have an ice pack, get something cold, a cold compress, something. Unawekelea hapo. Now, precaution, do not put ice directly on skin. If you put ice directly on skin,
it will definitely melt.
It will cause a burn.
Oh, okay.
A kind of burn that we call a cold injury. So don't put ice directly on skin. So
it should be wrapped in
wrap in cloth, in a piece of cloth or something, and then now place it on the injured area. Mali unaona hiyo swelling. Shikilia hapa.
What's the purpose of ice and just having the cold?
The ice helps to reduce the swelling.
Right.
And when the swelling reduces, the pain also reduces. So that's what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Yes. Again, si apply ice, inakusaidia to reduce the swelling. Then you get what? You get a roller bandage. You get a roller bandage, and hold that in place.
So for how long should the pack of ice be on the hand?
Every 10 minutes, you check on it. You check on it in terms of how the swelling is going.
Right.
So as you wrap this, when you wrap this, please, if it is at the hand, also take it around the hand like that, ndo ishikilie vizuri.
The whole support.
Support tu vizuri, so that it helps so that it doesn't move. It doesn't move from the injury or away from the injury where the injury is. So ukisha wrap hii vizuri, unakuja tu unafunga. This now is the compressed bit. Kwa hiyo rice, this is the compressed bit. Si ndio? Alafu elevate. Tumefunga nini? Unakumbuka vile? Hapana, umekumbuka ile sling tumefunga?
Oh yeah.
Inaitwaje?
The triangular.
Do you remember the name of this sling? It's called an elevation sling.
Or the elevation sling.
Yes. So, shikilia tu hapo na tunakuja
nifunga hapo.
Tunafunga tu vizuri, tunamrudisha hapo kwa hiyo sling yake na tuna secure hiyo sling tu haraka. Tuna make sure that it is properly secured. And then every 10 minutes check. Usually what we want to do, we want to expose the finger kidogo so that you can check whether the blood is still flowing.
Right.
Naona hapa kwa nail bed, what color is your nail bed?
Should be pink.
Yeah, it's pink.
Yes.
So if it turns whitish ama ina turn bluish grayish, na maanisha blood is not flowing well.
Hakuna supply of blood.
So maybe you need to loosen it kidogo.
Right. And because we've had this variation of the slim hand now the second time, someone is asking, so what if I had a sprain on probably my knee?
Yes.
Because I think for the hand it has the advantage of you're able to elevate it properly.
Yes.
But then if it's on, let's say, the ankle or the knee, so what happens? I think now you can have Joy probably
sit.
Yes. Kindly.
So yes. So the ankle is what is injured.
Okay.
Ndio? So unaweza toa kiatu yako? Sawa. So nitatoa tu kiatu. Try and expose vizuri. And then see the injury is hapa hivi. Sio kama wenzetu wanatuona vizuri.
Yes.
The injury is hapa. So what we are going to do, I'm going to elevate it.
Okay.
It's a good idea kama maybe naweza mkalisha mahali kiti mahali kuna backrest.
Okay.
So hapa hivi hakuna backrest but naweza mkalisha hata nimlalishe.
Right. Sasa itabidi afanye cardio workout. Hiyo namaliza tummy.
Okay, so I elevate it. Niki elevate again nita apply ice pack. Nisaidie cloth tu moja hapo.
Wacha nikusaidia mgonjwa afai ku
leta tu. So hapa hivi tumesema tunaweka ice ndani ya nini? Si ndio? Tunaweka ice hapo hivyo and then you place it there. Si ndio? Just the same thing that we did for the wrist.
For the wrist. Okay.
And then you get acha nichukue roller bandage yangu hapa. Then once you get it there, unachukua roller bandage hiyo size. Unaona hii ni kubwa kuliko ile.
So unashikilia.
Unashikilia. Like that. So hii tunaifunga tu vizuri. Unafunga the whole foot. Just wrap it around the foot and the ankle. Because hiyo inakusaidia kucompress that particular area. Alafu this we are going to tuck it in nice and neat. There. That's it.
So now for how long? Because I think for the wrist, you're able to elevate it for as long as, because there's support of the hand. So for this one, how long?
What you're going to do, you're going to get a couple of pillows or whatever, place them under there. So keep it elevated. For as long as the pain is still there.
45
for as long as the pain. So
degrees.
We say a foot.
Or foot.
A foot off the ground, which is what? Yes, vile tunasema 45 degrees ama 30 centimeters. So utaishikilia tu hivyo. Unaishikilia hivyo, place maybe pillows, keep it elevated. Ukishaenda kwa hosi kwa orthopedic ward, unaonaga tu watu wanakuwa wameinua mikono ama wameinua miguu. It helps to prevent swelling. Right. That elevation helps to prevent swelling. Hapa pia tumeongeza ice, it helps to prevent swelling. Nilisikia ukitaja kitu ya heat. Haitaki joto. Haitaki joto. If you apply heat, it will cause even more swelling. So try and don't use heat. We want cold.
So no, okay. I think the whole, because they are industrial kinds of aerosol sprays that are used, but then they have a chilling and a cold effect on the skin. Will that help?
Yes, here is Ashida. The ones that have been manufactured specifically to have that cold or chilling effect.
Yeah,
that one is okay.
Right.
But again, first aid, we try to keep it simple. Ice is what is available to us. Some cold water. That is what is available to us.
So now, even as aki relax hapo, you could probably now tell us what can there be a situation where you can probably now.
Oh, sorry.
Can there be situations where even after the whole 10 minutes interval of checking the swelling has gone down, this swelling actually persists? And she has to go now to the hospital. So what will necessitate nini za kuwa some underlying factors that may predispose someone asikue swelling isiende chini?
Fracture.
Okay.
If it is a broken bone, then probably swelling haitatulia until now they go to hospital and get an X-ray and now get proper medication and management of that particular fracture. So a fracture is the most common thing that can result in the swelling not subsiding.
Apart from fractures, are there any kind of underlying medical conditions that probably someone has some soft muscles and all that may cause the same?
Now, medical conditions, things like, kuna watu wanakuwaga na medical conditions kama arthritis, porous bones, osteoporosis and such. Hizo sasa. Those are the things now that can cause such. The things that affect bones and cartilage. Those are the medical conditions that you should worry about. So if someone with, for example, arthritis were to get a sprain, the idea is to get them to hospital. If you know someone has maybe something like osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is when the bones are porous. Hiyo una need kumpeleka hospitali.
So now for that one, how do we carry, let's say, Joy? Because her right knee or her right leg has the sprain.
Has the injury.
Yes, on the right ankle. So how do we carry her such that we don't really tusimuumize sana?
So the first thing kwanza ni kuihandle hivyo vile tumeihandle, si ndio? Una secure the foot in place, si ndio? When you want to carry her, get as much help as you can. Get as much help as you can. Get kama ni neighbors ama work, kama uko job, get workmates so that you can move her in a way that she doesn't need to step on the ground.
Okay.
So usually
ile kwenda kilimp sawa.
Ile akienda akilimp
tumbebe.
Kama mko wengi, usually tunataka kama mtu ameumia na amevunjika na vile tu umeniambia someone has those kinds of medical conditions, you don't want to put pressure on that area. So if you can get a blanket, lift her with a blanket. With like 5 or 6 guys. Mpeleka kwa hosi. What we advise is that if you have access to an ambulance, call an ambulance. They have the equipment to transport this casualty safely. So muache tu hapo mahali yuko. If you're able to call an ambulance and wait for the ambulance, wacha ambulance personnel wakuje, wambebe, waende na yeye.
And because you've mentioned the whole calling an ambulance, could probably tell us for St. John, for someone who's listening to us for the first time and they don't really know the contact for St. John.
Yes. The contact for St. John, the emergency control room, which is open 24 hours, is 0721 225 285.
Okay.
0721 225 285. So that is the emergency number for St. John Control Room. And if you need an ambulance, just call them 24 hours a day. They are available.
So before tumalizie, thank you very much, Joe. Unazasimama. To assume mgonjwa amepona mguu. So I think we have about like a minute to wrap it up. You can tell us just a summary of what we've really learned today.
Yes.
What's kama mtu haja learn yoyote? What's the take home?
When it comes to electrocution, make sure that power is turned off. Make sure personal safety comes first.
Okay.
When it comes to sprains and strains, you want to reduce the pain and swelling. So rice. That is what you need to remember when it comes to sprains and strains. Rest, ice, compress, elevate.
So,
yes.
Thank you very much, Andrew Wanjohi kutoka St. John Ambulance. I hope you've learned quite a lot when it comes to this particular conversation on first aid. We do this every single Monday between 9 a.m. all the way to 10 a.m. Just giving you some tips on what you need to know when it comes to first aid. You can also talk to us, 2047. What kind of first aid do you think we really need to tell you, debunk for you? You can share that for us. It's about to be, it's just the first day of this week, the 13th day of May. It's about to be quite a long week. Just to remind you also, the whole diary, what to really expect today. The whole schools is reopening. Stick around right here, TV47. We'll be giving you the whole 11-member committee report of the National Assembly concerning agriculture. CS Mithika Linturi's impeachment trials right here around the afternoon session. I'm used to Stanley Nyerengita on behalf of Freddie Nimoli, Tukonaya Subui, and on behalf of the entire team right here who have made a nice and a fantastic job. This is Morning Cafe. Do this every single Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Goodbye.